Right now I am pressing square, that is the attack button. This is the toggle button. What is up, guys? Don't forget to subscribe. Check out my channel playlist for individual tutorials on logic, sculpting, animation, music, and more. Today we have a easier version of how to make items in Dreams Ps4. My first video explained a whole lot of other concepts about how to make items, more advanced stuff, so check out that video if you would like to learn more. This is just the basic rundown on how to do things. This is the logic that I did, and pretty much let's go ahead and begin. So what you want to do to actually make items is have two control sensors. One control sensor toggles things off and on. The other control sensor is pretty much the attack button. We'll be using signal manipulators to pretty much make it to where it's single button presses and stay on presses, if that makes sense, to where it'll stay on after you press the button, and your fingers are no longer on the triangle button, which is my toggle on and off button, to where it'll stay off until the next time you press triangle and it'll turn it back on. So let's go ahead and begin with how to actually get the item there. How to get the item there. I'm going to pull out a separate puppet interface, or puppet, and show you guys here. What you want to do is scope in by pressing L1 and X on the puppet. Next, you will want to search for your sword sculpture, your gun, whatever it may be, and pretty much place it wherever you need to place it in relation to the scale of your puppet. So we're going to downsize it to the relation of the puppet to where it makes sense on the scale. After you've correctly placed it, you will want to actually group these items together. If you don't group them together, the sword will pretty much hover there and it won't move with the arm. So to group it together, you want to press the sword and then the hand, and then group with the plus button that appears. Now whenever you are moving, the sword will move with the character's arm. After that, you pretty much got an item. It's as simple as that to make items. It's as simple as that to make items. So next, what we're going to do is show you guys the logic behind how to actually make it swing and all that other great stuff. Both these control sensors are on remote. One starts the timeline for the attack. Within the timeline for the attack is the attack animations, a keyframe that changes the label of the sword to weapon. This is so that whenever it collides with an enemy, the enemy can sense the impact of the weapon, and the enemy won't sense the impact of the weapon until you swing, because the label only changes whenever this animation starts, because the label changes within the timeline of the attack animation. What this switch does, essentially, is it's in two places. It's inside of the control sensor that starts the attack animation, and it's inside of the control sensor that moves the puppet. What it's doing is disabling the controls to where you can't press the button anymore while the animation is in play, and it's also disabling the controls that make your puppet walk to where you can't move while it is swinging. Now if you want to make it to where it can move while it's swinging, just don't put it in the disable controls inside of the puppet control sensor that makes the puppet walk. What you want to do to make your animation, is first make a keyframe, click your character once, that way the starting animation is the default animation of your character, and it'll make everything run smoothly. Then make your animations for your swing. You usually only need 5 animations for this. The last keyframe is the first keyframe. The last keyframe is the first keyframe, making it a really cool transition that's smooth. Again, what this does is makes it to where the sword is collidable, and it changes the label. If you want the sword always collidable, just make it always collidable. But I'm just saying that just so you guys know. Make sure it's not on keep changes. Make sure all these keyframes are on linear. That way you'll see the line in between here. This is how you change them to linear. Or you can mess around with it. You could also press in between here. L1 and X in between where the lines are to where it quickly changes the type that it is. You might also want to change the speed of the timeline to where it runs more quickly. Just increase this, make sure this is on once. You can also put your sounds in here for the sword slash. You can also move these keyframes closer together to make it faster, sort of like this. And again, the first keyframe and the last keyframe is just the default standing position. The three inside of here are the slash animations. Now that we know how to animate a slash or a gun, whatever you are going to be using, not once you have those animated, now we're ready for the logic behind all of it. So again, what you'll need is a signal manipulator to actually get the slash started. Whatever your button is for the attack, plug that into the signal manipulator. Make this signal manipulator pulse at on. Plug the other side into the power port of the timeline. And that is how you will get everything started. Again, what this switch does, the on and off switch, disables the controls for this and disables the controls for the puppet movement control sensor inside of the puppet microchip by pressing L1 and X on it. After pressing L1 and X on your puppet, that is what this is doing, to where you can't press the attack button over and over again, and to where it doesn't move once the animation starts. Now, with the other control sensor, both of these are on remote control. With the other control sensor, pull out a signal manipulator. Make whatever you want your button to toggle your item on and off. Make that the button that goes into the signal. Make sure it is on toggle output. And then connect the ending signal into a keyframe. Make sure this is not on keep. What this keyframe does is changes the sword to invisible and powers off the keyframe that makes your animation attack. You can also make it power off the timeline. That is what this keyframe does. It makes the sword invisible. So you'll want to press L1 and X on your sword while you're recording with your keyframe. Then press L1 and square. Once you see the name of the thing, you can just press the invisible while it's recording. You might want to press L1 and X one more time to where you see something like this, the bigger portion of it. And you can change it to non-collidable while it's recording with the keyframe. It'll look like this. And non-visible. And then make it to where the keyframe also turns off the power. And you can also turn off the timeline if you want to. to make it to where the keyframe is not affecting it. Like if you press the wrong thing with the keyframe, just press triangle and then it'll revert it back to normal. Press the left button on your controller to undo, all that great stuff, and make it to where it turns invisible. And that's pretty much it. Again, this is on toggle at on, and the one that makes the attack animation is on pulse at on. So let's go ahead and play it. So let me go ahead and rewind it. Now we have an enemy. So the enemy senses weapon labels. Notice that the weapon is not a weapon label at the beginning, only a weapon whenever you start the slash. How you would do that is with an impact sensor. Connect the impact sensor's sense impacts to your enemy. Connect the touching to the power of the destroyer or the lower health or the counter, whatever you have for your HP, and then connect the affected object to your enemy. And that is how you do that. Then change the label to where it only senses weapons. Your sword turns into a weapon while this animation starts. It changes the label of your sword. And just in case I didn't show you guys how to do that, what you'll want to do is press L1 and X on your sword while it's recording with this keyframe. Until this pops up, goes to labels, and while it's recording, while this keyframe is recording, just press label weapon. And then you might want to make it to where it's also collidable if it's not collidable in the beginning. And that is essentially how you do all this. Don't forget to subscribe. Check out my channel playlist for individual tutorials on logic, sculpting, animation, music, and more. If you're confused about anything, just ask me in the comment section below, and I hope this helps you guys learn how to make weapons and dreams. PS4, if you have any other tips, let people know in the comment section. Help everybody out. Peace out. I hope you guys have a wonderful day.